If you're working nonstop, publishing, teaching, serving on committees, and still feel like your career isn't moving forward, you are not alone. I have been there. A scattered CV, constant exhaustion, and the sense that all the effort wasn't translating into recognition or progress. The problem wasn't effort, it was a lack of strategy and alignment. I'm Dr. Stacey Ishman. I work with academic physicians to help them focus their work, build careers with intention, and advance without sacrificing their lives outside of medicine. If you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and start moving forward with clarity, this is for you. Welcome back to the podcast. I am very excited today to have my very first guest, and this is Reema Padia, who will be joining us from Utah. So we're going to start off by asking her to tell us a little bit about herself and where she is in her career right now.
Thanks for having me, Stacey. So I am a pediatric otolaryngologist at the University of Utah, and I am in my 7th year of practice. I'm an associate professor at the university, and this is actually the second institution I've worked at, and excited to be here.
So in full disclosure, we work together. We've worked together both in one-on-one coaching and in department coaching. And so I would love for you to tell everybody a little bit about, first of all, what was going on in your career before we started working together? What was the impetus to say, I want to work with a coach?
Yeah, so it was during my transition to this job, actually, from where I had moved from my prior institution. And it was a lot, not just moving across the country, but also I had new leadership roles. I was in a totally different department. There were a lot of things that were changing. I have 2 kids, new schools, just a lot of changes. And I had some knowledge of coaching and how it's beneficial, but I never had any formal coaching outside of sports and stuff when I was younger. So I did a mini session with Stacey and just loved it. And here we are, like a year and a half later, still working together.
Yeah. So tell us, what are the things that made you say, I even want to get coached in a mini session? What was going on that seemed like it was a challenge or you thought you could use help with?
The one big thing, taking on a leadership role with people that had already been there at the institution for a very long time. And I was coming in as a new person trying to lead this group of people that had already worked together for a long time. And so that was actually the one concrete thing that I wanted to start working with Stacey on. And then also I had just come on as an associate professor. So I had this drive of, promotion feels good. How can I now continue to move in that direction?
And tell us a little bit about the challenges of walking into a group of people who worked together for a while and you walk in as a new leader, also new to the institution.
Yeah, it was a fine balance of not trying to just come in and think that I'm going to change everything and try to make all these movements forward, even though maybe I think that I'm doing a good job of it, because it was more about building trust and making those relationships first and making it known that I want to work with them. They have a lot of expertise in being at the institution for a long time, doing what they're doing, and that I am hoping to mostly be that glue to guide the whole program forward and not necessarily make it what I want it to be. But
I heard you say not want to make it what I want to be, but what came after
but make it a program that the group wants.
So tell us a little bit about, how did coaching help you get from this sort of new leadership position to a place where you are now? And maybe you should start with, where are you now? How's it working?
Yeah, it's working great. So I'm the director of our vascular anomalies program, and it's going great. I think some of the challenges were I had all these ideas but I needed buy-in from the center and from the individuals involved in the program and how buy-in. And I had tried a few things, didn't seem to be working. And so we talked through maybe some alternatives or why it may not have worked. And I do feel like I've carried those approaches forward and had more one-on-one conversations instead of, for instance, like a blast off email. Hey, if anybody wants to help me with this, please let me know. versus, hey, so-and-so, I know you're great with technology or what have you. How do you feel about helping me with the database? Or do you have any suggestions on someone else if you don't have the bandwidth? So making more of those one-on-one connections has really helped.
If you were to do it again, is there anything you would say, hey, this is the advice I'd give to the person who's taking over from me, who if they're in your same position? Like, what was the stuff that you said, this is the secret sauce, it really worked?
Yeah, I do think getting feedback from the individuals. And again, I started out, hey, let me know if things can be better or how things can be better. But that didn't work out so well. So having more concrete questions, how can we improve the workflow of clinic? How can we make sure that every discipline in the program is supported? And we have a retreat. We've had our second one now, which is super fun, which also I had great advice. I put this whole grandiose idea of, oh, I want to do this retreat where we spend an afternoon together and all of that, but that requires funding, that requires time. And so we had discussed maybe we should just do it during the lunch hour before our clinic. So we know everybody is there. Nobody's taking time away from their family and friends, and we get lunch catered, and it's pretty simple, but fruitful. And yeah, I think more obtaining concrete feedback with directed questions was very helpful, and providing more group opportunities to talk to each other. And not every program is perfect, and people have different battles that they face based on their individual division or department that maybe I'm not aware of. So finding a way to understand that and show support.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, the other thing you've done is you've been involved in some coaching yourself. You do surgical coaching in your department, and you've got an exchange with another program. Can you tell us a little bit about those experiences?
Yeah, we have partnered with the University of Colorado, where several of our faculty from the University of Utah coach residents in the University of Colorado and vice versa. And it was a partnership that worked really well. One, because our time zones are similar, and we have a great partner at the University of Colorado's Department of Otolaryngology who is interested in coaching. And I actually just had my third coaching session with my resident this morning, and it's been great. It's been awesome because the whole reason for the interdepartmental format was so that the residents could be more open with how they feel about certain things without feeling like they may suffer some repercussions or they're talking to somebody who's directly evaluating them. So that has been really fruitful for me. And we're having all the participants, the coaches and the residents, fill out surveys at the end, since this is our first year, just to see what worked, what didn't work. Should we continue it on in the following years? Yeah.
Can you explain what surgical coaching is too? Because I didn't learn about it until you and I met.
Yeah, so surgical coaching is a way that someone can give feedback to a surgeon. Ideally, it's intraoperatively, but we know that our schedules may not match, right? So it could be based on video recordings of certain procedures, certain surgeries, or it could really be a description. People who have been doing this for a long time, like our general surgeon colleagues and their OBGYN colleagues, before they were able to have fancy video recordings, they would just describe a scenario. And it's nice because you can work on anything. You can say, hey, I want to be more efficient in the operating room. How can I do that? Hey, I want to have better communication with my scrub tech. I want to work on that. I want to be a better teacher to my residents in the operating room. I don't want to take over every single time. And so there's a unbiased individual, and it actually does not have to be a surgeon in your field. So I could have a urologist observing me, and it's a lot about asking questions. Just what you do for me is just asking questions so that the surgeon who is actually being coached can come up with some action plans on their own.
Okay, cool. So tell us a little bit about how you have this background. You were doing one-on-one coaching with me. What made you say, hey, we should do this at the department level? Because it was really a conversation that started with you and I that got us to the thought of, What would be the stuff we did throughout the department?
I have benefited so much from our relationship, and it's funny because after some of our sessions, I'll talk to my husband and I'm like, oh yeah, Stacy and I talked about this. And he'll be like, yeah, I've told you this before. And it's no, like you didn't really say it the right way or whatever. And I think some of the things we may feel like, oh, we don't need coaching because, oh yeah, I already know how to do this. I already know that I need to do research to get this position, or I need to do this. This is the checkoff list to get promoted. But it's very hard to put it into action without talking it through. There's also this level of accountability, I think. Whenever I meet with you, I'm like, okay, we talked about this. I'm going to actually put it into action. And as it's not all, how do I get promoted, but like, how do I improve my communication and how do I interact with certain groups of people better? And so since I benefited so much, I chatted with our vice chair of education and our department chair. And it was a great time too, because our department chair was really invested in like these types of programs for our department. And I had done a grand rounds during my interview process on coaching. So it just all fit. And yeah, I said, I have a great coach that I know. And it just all took off from there.
I remember you telling me a story where you said you went to a faculty meeting with your chair and you told him that you had 7 grand rounds, I think it was, scheduled for that academic year. And he was like, how did you do this? And when you said, I did it because Stacy helped me figure out how to do it, it was so fantastic to have that as a starting point as we all started these conversations. So tell me a little bit about what it's like, because you've actually had a department coaching session, which is a little bit different than the one-on-one coaching session, but also you're probably talking to your colleagues. So tell us a little bit about what you think department coaching has done for you, but also more importantly, what it's done for your colleagues.
Yeah, I've talked to some of my colleagues who are participating in the coaching program, and those who have had their session have seemed like they've really benefited. One in particular wants to increase their national presence. And so we were actually just talking about ways that he had come up with ideas to do that, join committees, et cetera. And there was another individual who, she's a few years junior to me, but it sounds like we are on a similar, like, how do we make our names known nationally and internationally and such? And I think it's connected us a bit on the academic level, and not all of us are peds. So I've been able to talk to our facial plastics individual or rhinology and so forth. And yeah, it's just cool to see that everybody's trying to become a better version of themselves, and that everybody has this academic pursuit. And hopefully it shows our chair that we are all trying for the same goal.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you had one of the people who ended up meeting with us was a mid-60s faculty member who has been a division director, has had grants, doesn't need to worry about getting promoted, has done all that stuff. And it was a really fantastic conversation. We got really great feedback from them too. So it's really fun to see it across the lifespan of academic medicine.
Yeah, I'll say that particular individual checked off those boxes of, hey, I've already become chief and I've already gotten an RO1 and I've done all these great things with my career, how they may feel like they don't need coaching. And so they actually contacted me and said, hey, what exactly is this all about? Do you think this is for people like me? And I said, yeah, I think you absolutely should. And so I'm glad he did that and seemed to benefit from it.
Yeah, that's great. Now, if someone is listening in the position that you were in before you started working with a coach, maybe stuck or unsure about their path, but thinking, is coaching for them? What do you want them to know?
I'd want them to know that it's not a one trajectory fits all. You don't have to want to do coaching just so you can get promoted, just so you can get that leadership position. It's just helping you be happier with what you're doing and more satisfied with your work life. You and I have talked about stuff outside of work and how that can impact how I feel during the workday and outside of the workday and just my mood in general. And so I would say it's just a great way to talk to somebody about your goals, and you're the one who actually eventually comes up with that plan. It's not somebody just telling you do this, because again, it's a very individualized approach, which is, I think, the best way to go about it.
And you're more likely to do it if you come up with the idea.
Exactly. And the nice thing is consistency. So I know we try to meet every month, which I feel like is a good cadence, because then we regroup and we say, okay, how did that work? Did you have an opportunity to use those skills? And I can say either, yes, it worked really well, or yes, but I need to keep working on this.
Yeah. And I will tell you, the current program actually is to meet twice a month, because I learned from people like you and others that if you make the pace a little bit more frequent, it actually helps move things along. But also we get stuck. So there's times where I'm sure you've said, I'm going to get this done. And then it takes a month for you to get back and be like, that didn't work. So what's my next suggestion, or what's our next thought, or how do we work through that? There are some people who do once a month, but actually I find twice a month works really well for that reason. Now tell us a little bit like, oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I remember the last time we met, I was like itching to talk about what I wanted to talk about. And you were like, how long have you been keeping this? We could have met earlier. Yes, I do see how more frequent sessions are good.
Yeah, but I think you make a good point too. There needs to be some time to carry it out. And that's what's cool about doing it in this way. And I've had people come to me and they're like, was it life coaching? Are you going to talk to me about why I'm like this? And I was like, I'm not your therapist. That's not what we do. But I do think your point about working on things in your life is really important, because really almost everybody will tell you, if you want to be really successful at your life, you need to make sure your personal life is better and in line, and setting boundaries. And I feel like boundaries is one of those areas that almost everybody has an opportunity to work in. Would you mind telling everybody? So I feel like you've made some big changes in the last year and a half in terms of how you have balanced and prioritized work and home life. What does that look like for you, and how has coaching helped you get there?
Yeah, I think I've been able to realize, okay, what actually makes me happy when I'm working on it. It may take time out of my day. It may take an evening meeting, but do I enjoy it? And if I do enjoy it, then it's worth it. But if it's like, I'm only doing this to add it onto my CV because I think somebody will put this as an important check off on the list, then I have not pursued that as strongly. And I've learned, okay, I'm going to finish this, but I'm probably not going to do it again. Or this is not the route I necessarily want to go. I think it's been nice to be a part of different academic avenues, but now I'm learning what I actually enjoy doing, and that there are ways to make myself known and take on leadership positions in creative ways, just to show that, hey, I really am invested in this. I'm dedicated to this, but I enjoy doing it at the same time. And then also figuring out like true ways that I can say, I am not working on anything academic. I am going to focus on my husband. I am going to do this fun thing with my kids. And I'm not going to, in the back of my mind, worry about, I should be working on this. Maybe I should stay up later tonight to make up for the time. Like, it's not wasted time. Every goal, whether it's having dinner with my family or taking my kids to their basketball game, like that is a plus. That's a check off the list, as we've talked about.
Yeah. And you've also picked up some really fun social things too. Aren't you involved in a soccer league?
Yes, it was slightly pushed by the fact that my husband said I needed a hobby, but I was like, yeah, you're right. I do need something to do. And it's been awesome. I play in an adult rec soccer league, and it's so awesome because I feel like it's my thing. I am not the otolaryngologist. I am not the mom. I am not the wife. It's just like, I am Reema and I'm playing soccer and I'm having fun. And it's nice to have that once a week and be able to, and we've been doing it now for almost a year with the same team. And it's, yeah, we just are going to keep going, and allowed me to have a whole nother group of friends. And it also makes me feel good that like I can spend time for myself and not feel guilty about it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And then are you doing races coming up too?
Yes, I signed up. I got the triathlon itch. And so, yeah, I signed up for a half Ironman in September. Oh. My husband and I just last night were talking like, we need to figure out our training schedules. We have that as a goal. And what's awesome is I talked a few of my department colleagues into doing it as well. So yeah, we're doing that.
Okay. I love it. Now,
Mhm.
do you have any final thoughts? Like if someone's thinking about how they want to move their career and their life forward, it doesn't have to be about coaching. It could be about like, what's your best advice? What can you tell people that you think would be useful for them to move their career forward in a way that feels good?
Yeah, I would say one thing that I've learned that has helped me is not to set these arbitrary timelines for myself, that, okay, I need to get promoted by this time. Okay, why? Is it causing me a bunch of stress? Am I missing out on things that I would normally want to do because I just randomly chose this is my timeline? I think having some sort of goal setting is great, but to really think about whether or not I need to crank through a bunch of stuff or can I actually enjoy the process. And that's also something that we've talked about with the director of the vascular anomalies clinic, like actually enjoy it, because when you enjoy it, which I very much do, that shows everybody who you're working with that you love what you're doing. And that kind of creates that buy-in and relationship building. Everything is just better if you're enjoying what you're doing. Obviously, I'm not being unrealistic. There are things that we have to do that we're not jumping up and down to do, but to try to prioritize those things that we actually like to do.
That is amazing advice. And I have one other question. If you sent that same email that you sent a year and a half ago that said, anybody interested or does anybody want to change, would you still get crickets or do you get responses now?
So I actually am getting responses because we're trying to do some outreach to our surrounding states. And so I basically wanted to see who all wanted to be a part of it and who didn't. And that I think was more suited for, let me know if you're interested, because it didn't matter if I got one or no people, but I did get people responding. And it's interesting because once one person responds, more people feel like they need to respond as well. So yeah, it's been good.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have loved working with you and with your department, and I love hearing what you're doing. I am not going to do a half Ironman, but I'm glad somebody else is doing one.
Thank you, Stacey. You just make so many strides in my career and personal life, and I've just loved our relationship. So thank you.
And thanks for being my first guest. So if you are not already somebody out there who is following the podcast, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe or rate or review, and definitely follow us on whatever formats that you're following us in now. And please reach out if there's anything we could do to help you or your department. Thanks.